Hi everyone, welcome to a little Stitch with Me session today. I'm going to be working on one of my larger charts and quite possibly one of my older charts. This is called Sad Fairy and the artist is Alena Lazareva and it's a Heaven and Earth design. I believe it's a regular one, and I started this one back in quite possibly 2019, not sure when during that year, but sometime around 2019 I started this chart, and I've been on and off working on it since. And yesterday I hit a little milestone of 65%, so that's really good. I wasn't expecting to get to 65% so soon. I was around 62% when I picked it up again a week or two ago, and I was thinking maybe I could get to 70% by the end of the year, but then I was saying in my last video that I didn't want to put the pressure on, especially during, the Christmas holidays. So I thought, well, we'll just leave it as a maybe. I'll get to 70, or maybe I won't. However, it looks like it could be more possible than I thought, given that I'm already at 65%. And I have actually done a total of 122,000 stitches on this chart. It's unbelievable. I never imagined I would get that much done on one chart. But then again, it has been going for a few years. So I'm just going to get my thread ready and sorted. I hope everybody's having a lovely day today. Well, it hasn't really started yet over here in Scotland. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning, so it's, still not even, the sun hasn't even risen fully in the sky. Let's hope I can reach around here. Okay, so I have to bring this in a teeny bit closer. So I'm actually going to work on this little section here. Now I will talk a little bit about the last few days that I've been stitching this. Have been a little different for me because I've always been a sort of row by row person, and I decided to do a full cross with one strand, as you can see, and work sort of limited cross country. Now that's perfectly fine for the black here because it's just one stitch after the other. But when I got to this section here, there are so many colors in that little area that I nearly broke a needle trying to get, and I don't do large carries. I don't do large carries at all. So, but trying to get in between all those little gaps was a bit torturous for me, I have to say. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks like when I see other people doing the cross country, whether limited or extreme, they never seem to have any problem whatsoever on 25 count, filling in all the little gaps. But I seem to find it really tough to push the needle in. The fuller it gets, the harder it is to get the needle in. And that goes the same with tent, with 2 strands. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth me doing it if I struggle, or just going back to the rows, which I've always been more comfortable with, but which I find are a little bit more time consuming like this. And then I think, well, if I'm going to do rows anyway, I might as well do it in tent. So I seem to go in this looped circle way of thinking, where I do the cross country. I find that it gets really difficult to fill in the little gaps. Then I go back to the tent, and then I think, oh, this is too slow. Let's go back to the cross country. And there's no like really happy medium in between those two options, other than going down to is it higher count? I think it's a higher count, or is it smaller count? I can't remember which one. To maybe something like a 22 or a 20. But I'm not keen on the fabrics in those counts. So yeah, there's always something. But I think for now, especially in these, I think the answer for me is in these confetti areas where I can clearly see on my pattern keeper are really confetti areas. I'm going to stick to the row by row, and then quite possibly not do that in blocky areas or areas where there's less confetti, not too much confetti. I can go a bit more cross country. So I might have to learn how to, recognize where it's going to get really heavy and where I can quite happily substitute the limited cross country with the rows. Because there's nothing to say that you have to stick to one method the whole time. And if somebody says that, I disagree. I think you can do whatever you please on your project, as long as it's, making you happy and keeping you, not keeping you from doing it. Like, if you feel like you don't want to pick it up, try to define the reason. Is it because you're burnt out? Is it because you're not enjoying the technique? There's usually always some reason. If I don't pick something up, it's usually because I'm at that point in time more interested in something else. Not necessarily a new start, but more interested in whatever it is I've got in my head that I'm working on. That's usually the reason I don't pick something up. But there can be other reasons like this, like struggling to get the needle in. Like in here, there was loads of, not white exactly. I think there might have been a few white up here. Very, very light lilacs, very, very like white with a tiny shade of blue. So I'm talking like this color here, which is not white, but very hard to see, really, especially up here. It was a bit of a nightmare. I couldn't even tell if some of the squares actually had a stitch or not, some of the time. But yeah, and then they sort of blend all together, so it just becomes one big blur. No, I can't find this stitch. So that's basically what happened. So I'm going back to here obviously I might as well be doing row by row because it's all black. So I'm just going along one stitch after another. Oh gosh, I've gone up the wrong way. No, it's okay. One stitch after another until I get to all the end of the black, which is fine. But I can imagine the difficulty of stitching black on a black fabric. I don't think I've ever done that, but I think it might be nearly impossible to see. Yeah. So this is where I'm at, 65%. So we shall see if I get to 70 by the end of the year. And again, I'm not going to hold my breath because between now and the end of the year, anything could happen. I do have some things, some appointments, some things going towards the end of the year. So I can't exactly say, oh yes, definitely going to do it. I don't like to put definites on anything because I'll give you an example why I don't like to put definites on anything. My husband and I had planned to go out for a little while to get a bite somewhere. And on the way, I tripped over and I hurt my ankle. I was hobbling and I said, I'm going home. There's no way I can do this. So I came back home. So just an example of don't put a definite on anything that you plan because you don't know what's around the corner. For me, it was a little stone or something that just caught my foot. And it was nothing, terrible, but I just was so uncomfortable and saw that I just lost the buzz. And I didn't even get very far from my house. I think I just got around the corner and boom. Because the roads are not in a great state. They are, I don't think, very well maintained, some of them. There are so many little ditches and holes. You have to really look where you're going, especially at night, because you're just going to fall into a ditch otherwise. I don't know how people who go out on Friday nights and that don't all end up in A&E. They probably do, because my goodness me, it's hard to not trip sometimes, even when you haven't had a drink. And I have tripped over a few times. There was the one time when we had something called the Beast from the East, and I've never seen it before, but it did occur in the second year that I was living here, and the second winter. And oh my goodness, I've never seen so much snow in my life. It just looked like Alaska outside. And it was so hilarious because I'm in the middle of a major city and the roads were so packed up, so high with snow, that people were skiing along the street. I mean, obviously cars couldn't go anywhere. Trucks, delivery vans couldn't go anywhere. There was food shortages. It was a bit like the COVID, everybody was like packing up their trolleys full of food and drink, and by the time you got to the shops, there was hardly anything left. Ambulances couldn't get to locations. I mean, literally, the cars all came to a stand. Road traffic all came to a standstill. Our major concern was trying to find milk, trying to find just a carton of milk for our tea, and yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And living in the Mediterranean, I am definitely not used to that kind of way of life. So I just really try to avoid it like the plague. But once you step outside, not necessarily when there's snow, but when it turns to ice and slush, that is the dangerous time. When you slip, you see people sliding around everywhere. It's really, really dangerous. And then the ambulances are really like, getting their work cut out for them, because people, not even necessarily older people, young people, or just sliding and slipping everywhere. And that is when I definitely try not to venture out. Well, I didn't know I was going to start this stitch with me talking about the weather again, but there you go. I think it was the first time that my young son had ever seen snow, so he was delighted with that. Do you get these little knots like this? You know how to get rid of them, right? You just put your needle in, pull a little bit, ta-da, it's gone like magic. Not all the knots do that though. They don't all just go like magic like that. But those little tiny ones generally do. So we are coming up to, let me see, whip parade time, aren't we, soon? So I'm thinking of doing a whip parade at the end of this year. I don't know what date exactly. I think I might do it in between the Christmas week and New Year, something like that, possibly. And I'll just try and dig out everything I have. There's going to be such a mixture of stuff, but it's going to be very different from last year, because some of the things that I have actually started, I have actually decided to UFO. So I will be talking about that. Then there's going to be the new starts, and then there's going to be talking about the new start next year, which of course a lot of us are doing, which is, for me, it's the HAED Sal 26, which I am participating in on the Heaven and Earth Designs Facebook page. And they've created their own group for the HAED Sal. And my choice is Battle, which is the ship. So I'm looking forward to starting that. And I have ordered some 20 count and some 22 count, because I just want to do a little test and see if I'm, feeling more comfortable with that, doing cross country. In which case, if I am, I will switch to one of those. Quite possibly just the 22 count is fine for me. Because it's not a matter of not seeing the holes. I can see, like there, I can see that needs a stitch. It's just, when there's so many threads at the back, it's hard to get it through the hole. And you're probably wondering what fabric this is that I'm using. I do say it a few times when I'm doing a stitch with me on this one, but just to remind everyone, this is a actually a DMC fabric. I think it was called Magicguide or something. And it had red squares, a red square grid over 4 of these squares. So it was over 20 squares. There was like a red grid, and I just couldn't get my head around counting over a grid that large. So I washed it, which took off some of the plasticky feel, made it a little bit softer. Oh goodness me, what have I done? Why did I bring up my black up here? I'm working on this side. That would have been a huge carry down to there. I've forgotten what I was saying now. Totally forgotten. Oh my goodness. Where has my head gone? Well, it's still early-ish. Well, anyway. Oh yes, Magicguide. And it was still kind of plasticky. A little tiny bit, but it was a lot softer after I'd washed it. And then I just put my own grid. But the thing I don't like about the friction pen is this. Now that blue line is going over 2 holes, 2 lines instead of 1. That's just the thing about the friction pen that's a bit annoying. But hey, I'll probably wash that off and try and do that little line again. Quite possibly. So at the moment, what I have been working on is this one and Castle by Eda Jose Rosa, and it's a Stitch is So Beautiful chart. My last stitch with me is on Castle, so if you want to check that out, you can go and watch that video. I think it's the one before the last one I did. And really getting into it, really getting into it. So very excited with my stitching at the moment. Going through a period of unrecognizable excitement, actually. I don't know where it's coming from. But hey, long live the excitement for the stitching. Because sometimes I do go through periods of, oh my God, I don't want to stitch. I don't want to stitch on pain of death. However, I think, oh, if I keep this up, I'm never going to get anywhere. You know, they're all just going to sit there forever. And I'll just waste away and have all these whips still waiting and pending when I'm 90. But so, yeah, I'm just like some people waiting for the stitchy bug to return. And it nearly always does. Sometimes you just need a little break to do something else. I've been working on things like crochet and knitting. Then after a while, I get bored of that and I think, oh, I want to go back and do some stitching. So it's about being a little bit patient with yourself, I think. Giving your brain something else to do for a while. Talking about something else to do, I have been back in the needle minder factory. I'm also excited about making needle minders again. So I don't want to make far too many of them, but I'll show you the ones I made most recently. And here we've got, oh, I just love these. Look at this one. Dream your dreams with open eyes and make them come true. I love that. And they're all really sparkly. Look at that one. The man going up the hill. I think that's so cool. I don't know what you call that particular kind of cabin. Is that like somewhere in China or something? They kind of have those kind of roofs. And we've got these lovely swans. Look at the sparkle on the swans. And look at this one down here. Look at the, ow, isn't that beautiful? So these are all available in my shop. And here we've got a lot of Christmas fun, merry-go-round. And this one hasn't been up before. I had a little black cat with a red balloon, and now I have a dog with a pink balloon. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's a little gemstone in there. You can kind of feel the bump when you touch it. And then we've got Santa there in his sleigh. So these are all up on my Etsy shop, description below. If you want to take a look, I've been busy making those. It does keep me occupied. When I get a bit fed up with the stitching, I decide to go over to my craft table and make needle minders. It's just, you know, another activity to keep me occupied. And I've still got to do my Christmas shop, so I've got to go and hopefully I can still order a turkey for Christmas Day. That's something that I can't really leave to the last minute, because if I do, I'll end up getting the smallest turkey in the history of mankind, because if you don't book your turkey delivery a day or two before Christmas Day, you'll end up with a small chicken or something. Yeah. So I better get onto that and do a pre-booking thing. It's fantastic here because I just get everything delivered a couple of days before, and then I don't have to worry about running out of stuff, and things like the main veg and stuff I can get myself usually. But you know, the big items and the stuff that's in cans and frozen stuff can all come with the delivery people, who are always very nice, and they don't mind going upstairs to get things to us. They never complain about going up the stairs with all the food. Oh gosh, it's so easy to get your needle through. And this is a very small needle, by the way. I mean, it's not like I ever tried to use, say, a 22 or a 24 size on a 25 count fabric, which would be really big. This is actually, I think it's a 28 because it's quite small. But I've seen a 26 look like a 28 in some brands of needle. And it's confused me. I'm thinking, I thought that was a 28, but it looks like a 26. And then they've got a different number on it. I don't know why that happens, but it is confusing. But as far as I'm aware, it actually, a 28 is smaller than a 26. And therefore, I believe this is a 28. 26 is slightly bigger. And when you're using a very high count fabric, or is it a small count fabric? I'm still getting confused about those two. When you're using something like 25, 28, 32, you do basically want a small needle to be able to get into those holes. Yeah, because I don't know, for some reason, the hole feels smaller to me when I do a cross than it does when I do the tent with 2 strands. I don't know why that is. Might just be a perception thing, because obviously the hole isn't actually smaller, but it does kind of feel it with a full cross than it does with 2 strand tent. There is some tent stitches up here somewhere. I think all this is 1 strand. I think that's all. Is that tent up here? I think these white ones are tent. But you can't really tell, obviously. You can't tell when you've got it up on the wall. No one's going to be able to tell. They wouldn't even know what tent is, even if you told them. Like if I meet up with people and they say, you know, what do you do? And I say, oh, I've got a floss tube. They just look at me like I'm mad. Like, what on earth is floss tube? They have no idea. So then I have to explain, oh, because it's a community and we all do cross stitch and blah, blah, blah. And they just look at me like, oh, how exciting. Probably expecting something far more exciting. But I'm like, hey, it's exciting to me. You know, don't knock it till you try it. So I was thinking Sad Fairy is becoming my Christmas stitch, because I was thinking, well, the only other Christmas chart that I really have is called Snow Queen by Mirabilia. And I know where it is, but I've put the beads in a different place to the actual project, which is really annoying me. I don't know why I did that. It was a stupid idea because I've got the project, but I don't have the beads. And I know I have the beads, I just know where I put them. But anyway, I haven't really had the urge to pick her up again because I'm really not at the moment into, I never have really been into like the fancy ladies or anything, but I did like that particular chart. And I did a fair bit on it actually, but there's still a long way to go. I haven't even started on the reindeer. So away went the project and the beads in some other locations. So whenever that decides to appear, I might get back to that at some point. It's not going to happen this year. And so I thought, okay, so Christmas stitch, have we got any angels? No, I don't have any angels, but I have a fairy. So I just thought, hey, well, similar thing. They both got wings. Let's do sad fairy for a Christmas stitch. Because I'm really not that big into stitching like Santa and stuff like that. And my tastes are just very different. So I think it's a good compromise. She'll do for a Christmas stitch. And then I've really been enjoying Castle lately, probably because I've seen stitches in ebony. She's got quite far with hers and it looks fantastic. So it's kind of inspired me to keep going with mine. But I do also want to get back to my owl, and I want to get back to Riverwalk Charm. I'm having a little break if I'm working on this one. Because I've done so much of Riverwalk Charm this year. I deserve a little break as well. I'll probably get back to it next year in some kind of rotation. But for December, I'm kind of winding down, not winding up. But I also, still want to get as much progress as I can on stuff. So, be this one and Castle, and I haven't done anything on, I did work a little bit on Gracious Era recently, so there's a little bit more done on that. But I do also want to get back to the Vatican one because I really like that. But yeah, I think working on this one for December is probably a good idea because she hadn't been touched this year. Just had no inclination. So I think direction-wise, I'm thinking about filling in a whole area, like a square down here, and then moving to the left and doing another square. I think there's still a bit more to go at the bottom than what we have here. So I think, let me just move these out of the way. Don't know why I put that line there, must be my page break, but I think there's still a bit, let me check. There's still a bit to go at the bottom. I'm going to put my page breaks on just to see. I don't know why I put two lines there because I don't see that little line at the bottom. I don't see that little extra bit on the pattern. So how many squares have I got to do to get to the bottom? Okay, so from this square here, get out my way, needle. And this square here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be somewhere down here. So this line is wrong, and I have to do 3 more squares down, and that's the bottom of the chart entirely. So we still got another little, maybe 1.5 inches or just over 1 inch gap. And so I could do that whole bit, fill all that in, and then move to the left and do another. And I could go down in I could go down in columns, or I could do rows across. Just depends. Just depends. Coming up to the end of this black now. There's more black on this side, but I don't want to venture too far on that side. Just going to try and keep to the, you know, because I do like to have it looking a bit neater than all over the place. I don't know, it's just me. Oh, there's a stitch down here that I can do. Just one odd stitch. Might as well do it. Isn't it funny how sometimes you get this like random one stitch outside your box or something? You can spend ages thinking, shall I do it? Shall I not do it? Shall I do it? Shall I not do it? It's like, my goodness, it's not really a big deal. Just do it or don't do it. But I have in the past spent a few minutes deliberating whether I'm going to go outside of my line or not. I tend to generally do, as you can see all up here. I'm trying to feather because I don't want to get big lines. I've never usually suffered. Somebody asked me recently in the comments if I get page lines. I've never had them. I've never had them with tent, and I've never had them with full cross. So I suppose I can get away with it, but I'm still mindful of it. So I do still tend to feather. Right, so this is not going to be a long stitch with me, chaps, because I have got stuff to do, but I did not forget when I said that I wanted to do one. And I think half an hour or so is better than nothing. And it means that I can probably squeeze in a few more if they're not too long to go and edit and upload and everything. Just makes it easier for me to squeeze them in between other things. So yeah, it's just about connecting and spending a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be long. And I hope you've got your stitching out and are doing some stitches yourself. So I'll be watching a few Xmas videos later. That'll be interesting. I thought about Xmas and then I thought I don't have a clue what to do. So, because I don't do like Christmassy themed things and I don't stitch little tiny things. I thought, I don't know. This will be my Xmas contribution. Okay, got another few stitches left. I'm glad to get some of this black done because it is a little bit boring to do black. So thank you for keeping me company whilst I'm finishing this black off. I know I've got more of it on the left side. It's always this last couple of stitches where my hand gets all trembly. Like, come on, just get done. Right, and there's a ninja stitch happening at the end of here. Sometimes I just mow it down. Let me see what colour it is. If it's like 3371, which it is, then I think, oh, shall I mow it down? Shall I not mow it down? Actually, I think I'll be a good girl and I'll not cover it with black because there's more of them in the square. So I can do that once, that little onesie, and then, you know, park my thread over this side. So he's a lucky boy. He's not going to get the dark colour. And there's one here, and I did that one stitch there. So that's where we are with the black. Normally I flip my work over to run my thread at the back, but because I can't do that because I've got camera stuck in front of it, I'm just going to bring it down to about here. Let's snip it off, leaving the tiniest little tail. And I've never had a problem with that coming out of the back or anything because it's going to get all covered over here. Some people do like waist knots, waist threads, or whatever you call them. I've never really bothered with that, to be honest. Just not my style. Okay, so there we are today. I've got Mary Queen of Scots keeping me company too. That's my little stitch with me today, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back again really soon for another stitch with me. Enjoy the rest of your week. Speak to you soon. Bye.